warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Okay, now we are going to look into chapter 1, which is introduction to research. Okay, before we go further to the actual topic, let's take a look into let's recall back to some terminology that very important in statistic. Okay, first the first terms that very important in statistics subject is population. Okay, so basically population or target population is the complete collection of observation that we want to study. Okay, it consists of all subjects where either human or otherwise that are being studied. Okay, for example, let's say I'm interested to study regarding the UiTM police student. So all the student in UiTM police were my target population. Okay, and then the second terms that very crucial is a sample. So sample is a subset of a population. Okay, a sample is a group of subjects selected from a population. They say our population that I just mentioned previously is UiTM police student. So let's say my sample is the diploma student. Okay, so I'm just focusing on the UiTM police diploma student only. Okay, next. Okay, so what is parameter? Okay, parameter is a summary measure such as mean, median, mode or standard deviation computed from the population. Each individual in the population, okay, let's say all student in UiTM police, either diploma, degree or PJJ student, were included in my study. That so if I measure the each student's CGPA, so the CGPA is, we call it as parameter because all the element in the population were measured their CGPA. So the value is the we call it as parameter. Okay, next term is statistic. Okay, statistic is a summary measure from sample data. Okay, so let's say I'm just calculating or collecting the CGPA of a diploma student. So the CGPA value we call it as statistic. Okay, because the value were collected from the sample. Okay, variable is a characteristic or attribute that can assume different values. Okay, now we look into census. Census is a collection of data from all subjects in the population. Okay, which means that the study that we conduct will involve each and everybody in the population. Okay, for example, currently Department of Statistics is conducting their census, right? If you realize lah, okay, they were conducting the e-census, okay, because we can just answer the question through the online. Okay, so previously what have they done is they were conducting the face-to-face interview. Okay, but because the current situation, because we are currently in COVID-19, right, so they will conduct the census by online. Okay, so kalau your family has not yet answered the question, please register on Department Statistics website and try to answer the question. Okay, so for your information, the census we're conducting in Malaysia, the census we're conducting for every 10 years. Okay, sample survey, a study that involves a subgroup or sample of the population, whereas a pilot study, a small scale study done before the actual study is carried out. Okay, for example, katakan saya nak buat study on how the UiTM police student adapt with the ODL, okay, the new norm of online learning. Okay, so let's say I'm just use or I test my questionnaire on my student first before before I question to the other student. Okay, let's say I'm testing my questionnaire on this class. Okay, so you are my pilot study. Okay. Now, what is the data? Data is the value or measurement or observation that the variable can assume. Okay, or a collection of data value from a data set. Okay, so let's say tadi I'm interested to study on the CGPA value of the UITM police student. So when I collecting the CGPA value, so that we call it as a data. Okay, data set. Okay, when I have a list of CGPA value of UITM police student, and then I have their CGPA or current GPA, so that value we call it as a data set. Okay, now what is sampling? Okay, sampling. If you still remember, last semester we have covered sampling distribution topic, right? Okay, sampling is the scientific procedure of selecting a sample from a population. Okay, so first you need to identify what is your sampling frame. Okay, sampling frame is a list of your population. For example, if I want to know what is the sampling frame of your template student, so I can check from the system. Okay, or for example from the list of attendance, so that is my sampling frame where I can know the list of all your population. Okay, sampling unit, the unit listed in the sampling frame. Okay, and then you have to know if what is your sampling technique that you want to choose. Okay, if you still remember, we have two type of sampling technique. First, probability technique, and the other one is non-probability technique. Okay, why we important you choose the correct sampling technique? Okay, first thing, we since we just use sample, so we want the sample that we select from the population represent the population. So that's why it is very crucial for you to use or select the correct sampling technique. Okay, so the step is when it's involving a sampling, first you need to identify what is your population, establish your sampling frame, specify the sampling technique used, determine the sample size, and select the sample. Okay, so you already know how to calculate the sample size, right? From last semester topic. Okay, I hope you still remember, or you can check on it later on. Okay, another terminologies that you have to understand is what is observation unit. Okay, observation unit is an object on which a measurement is taken. This is the basic unit of observation, sometimes called element. In studying human population, observation unit are often individual unit. Okay, so who is your, okay, pada siapa yang awak nak soal awak punya questionnaire tu, that is mean by the observation unit. Okay, on my case study, my observation unit is the student lah. Okay, sampling unit, a unit that can be selected for a sample. Okay, for example, we may want to study individual but do not have a list of individual in the target population. Okay, instead, household serve as the sampling unit, and the observation unit are the individual living in the household. Okay, sampling frame. Okay, a list, map, or other specification of sampling unit in the population form which a sample may be selected. Okay, for example, tadi saya dah mention attendance list. Okay, kalau you make a survey through a telephone call, so your sampling frame is a list of our resident telephone numbers in the city. Okay, or if you make a interview, face-to-face interview, so your sampling frame is list of all street addresses. Okay, another example, in agricultural survey, so your sampling frame is the list of all farms, maps or area containing the farm.